Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, aka the Bod Father, and as always, I bring you guys awesome interviews. And today it is an honor and privilege to have Mr. Frank DiMino on the show. We're going to be talking about his solo album called DiMino. Well, actually, no, it's his band called DiMino, but it's called Old Habits Die Hard. So we're going to be talking to him about that. Frank, how's it going?
It's going great. Nice to be here.
Glad to have you on the show, man. Respect what you've done for for a very long time. I like your music.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
What's impressed you the most about making the new solo album, Old Habits Die Hard, man? What jumped out at you for it?
Well, I think my approach doing the solo album was a little bit different because I'd been so used to doing working out of a band situation. So, writing songs within the band and writing to the strengths of the band and how we want the band portrayed. So it was a little bit different when I went into doing the solo album. It kind of freed me up a little bit, and when I sat down and started writing with Oz Fox and Jeff Lubansky, the first question was, okay, what direction you want to go in? And my thought process was, you know what? Let's not worry about the direction because it's not it's a solo album. So let's just sit down and write good songs. So that was the approach, is to kind of write good songs and pick and choose from all the good songs that we had.
Yeah, you're right. This does go a different way than being with a full band. Than what you're used to, of course, How was working with producer Paul Crook? And he's worked with Meatloaf and Anthrax. How was working with him on this, man?
Paul's great. He's a friend, and I couldn't ask for a better guy to help me out with the album. We spent a lot of time on stuff. Very meticulous, really easy to work with. Yeah, it was a great experience. And we just went out to dinner a couple of days ago and started talking about maybe doing another album. So. Possibly that could be in the mix for the next thing. Him and I are maybe writing it together. So there's a lot of possibilities yet, but talking about it now is getting the juices going.
Now, working with Paul, did he step in to say, hey, to suggest this or anything like that, or he just let you go about your way and let you do what you want?
He kind of guided, let me do what I want, and he kind of went through the process. It wasn't like I can't do that. You don't want to do that. It was more or less, okay, let's try that, see if it works. And it leaves a lot of open space to say either, okay, we've tried it, maybe it doesn't work. Let's do it this way. So there's a lot of give and take with it. And when you have that kind of go through that kind of process, it makes things. It makes things easier, and you feel like you're working towards a common goal. And I think that was the main thing with this project. Everyone involved, the main goal was to make the project sound good. Everyone kind of like checked their ego out at the door and just kind of worked towards a positive end.
Any songs for you, Frank, off this new album that stand out more? I know you've got some guest musicians on here. We're going to talk about that here in just a little bit. But are there any songs that jump out to you that say, wow, I'm impressed with this one?
Each it's very difficult. Each one has a little bit of special thing for me. Right. So it's very difficult for me to pick and choose one particular song. I mean, right now I'm still really close to the whole thing, so it's kind of difficult for me to do that.
I'd imagine so, being the first baby one here, so that's awesome. You have many guest musicians on this album. Was it easy working with them, to do their parts and things that you wanted them to do, or did they add anything with this? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it was pretty easy, and I've answered this question before. It really happened organically. It wasn't something that I planned on doing. I mean, I felt I was covered guitar-wise. I had Oz, I had Paul Crook, who's a great guitar player, and I had Jeff Lubansky. So I was covered with guitars. It just so happened that with the thing with Pat Thrall, he was going to get involved with the production at first, but he couldn't do it due to some stuff that he had to do. So he said, I'd love to play on the album. So please, when you have some tracks, if you got something you want me to play on, I'd love to play on it. So that's how Pat got involved with playing on it. And with Stones by the River, we sent him the track. I thought it was the perfect track for him to play on. So we sent him the track, asked him what he thought, and he said, I think I can do something with this. So he took the track, did a solo, and sent it back to us, and it was it was more than we expected. It was just a great solo, and that's the way it kind of happened with all the stuff with Eddie Ojeda. It was he happened to come into town, and I was a friend of Paul's and mine, and I asked what was going on, and Paul said, I'm doing Frank's album. Why don't you come on down and listen to it? So he came down and listened to it, and he said, I'd love to play on it. So I said, okay, let's give him a track. So we gave him a track to listen to. He took it home, came down the next day, and put a guitar solo on it. So, I mean, it's kind of the way all the stuff happened. With Never Again, Oz had said, when we wrote that, I was thinking of an Angel song. It would be great if we could get Punky to play on this track. So I said, well, why not? I'll give him a call, see what he wants, see if he'll play on it. So I called him up, and he said, of course, I'll play on it. So that's kind of how everything kind of happened with the guest appearances. It wasn't planned, but it just happened that way, and it was a great thing the way the whole thing happened. It really was a lot of fun.
Going back to the old school days of Angel, good music from you guys.
Yeah.
You taught yourself piano.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that a little bit, and plus, but how crucial is it for a musician to attend a Berklee college if they can? And I know you went to Berklee College of Music in Boston,
right?
But let's talk about that a little bit. Do you think it's crucial for somebody to do that, or if you could self-taught yourself, is that good? I mean, let's talk about that.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, any kind of knowledge is powerful. You know what I mean?
Right.
I kind of blended the whole thing together. I mean, a lot of times, there's guys that are just kind of like playing music from written music, and sometimes it loses kind of the soul. But like I said, you have to open up to both sides of it. When I started taking vocal lessons, I started taking vocal lessons at a really young age, and I kind of taught myself by watching my vocal teacher play the piano while she was teaching me stuff. So I had like this little organ at home, and I kind of like messed around with it and kind of taught myself the notes and then figured out chords. So that's how I kind of stumbled my way through the keyboards until I went to Berklee. I did take some guitar lessons, learning chords on guitar lessons when the Beatles came out, and then I went to Berklee and I took composition and arranging, and I had to take an instrument as a major, so that I could transpose and write charts. So piano was the easiest thing for me to see things and everything. So piano was my major instrument when I went to Berklee. But yeah, I began just kind of like teaching myself on it. But you can't be locked into one thing, I mean, like I said, reading opened up a whole lot of possibilities for me before I kind of sifted my way through kind of teaching myself.
What do you hope the fans take away from the new solo album once they start to listen to this, man?
Just enjoyment. We worked really hard on the sound, and worked really hard on the songs, and it took a lot of time with doing all the vocals, and I wanted everything to come out right. So yeah, I mean, the best thing is to put the album on, listen to it, and then want to hear it again. So just to get enjoyment out of it, that would be what my take.
What can fans expect at a show from you once you start to get out there and start doing your thing, man?
Well, I love playing live, so it's a big thing for me. The first date we're doing is October 21st at the Whiskey, so I'm getting everything together now. We're starting our rehearsals this week, but yeah, I mean, I'm going to do some. Of course, I'll do some Angel stuff. I'll do a couple of things from stuff that I wrote with Paul Raymond on the Paul Raymond project. I did an album with Paul, and maybe some other stuff that I've done along the way. But mainly the solo album and sprinkled in with some Angel stuff. So it should be a lot of fun.
Frank, do you like the digital era of recording and the way albums are getting put out today, or do you prefer just to stay in the studio and do it the old school way? What's your take, man?
Well, because I grew up that way, it's easier and more comforting for me to do it that way. I would assume that if had I grown up the other way, it would be the opposite. And I think it's just a matter of taste. You accomplish the same thing. You go in and have the same. Your sights are set the same way. You have the same values. It's just what makes you feel comfortable when you're in the studio, and that's, I think, the most important part of recording. It's being comfortable, and that's what brings out all that energy, and it's what makes the album part of the whole process.
What made you want to become a musician? What was that spark for you, if you can remember, that said, that's what I want to do?
I don't know. I think music always intrigued me. It was always something that I think that was part of me since I was very little. My mom played a little bit of piano. She played by ear as well. So I was always intrigued by the way she could get on the piano and play. So that always kind of stuck in my head. So when I would go down to my grandfather's house, he was that was the only place that there was an instrument. He still had the piano there. So I would always sit at the piano and try and figure out stuff and try and watch when she played and just kind of figure out things on my own. So it was always intriguing for me. And then I took vocal lessons at a very young age, and it really wasn't something that I planned on doing, but I was intrigued by it, and I was good at it when I took the lessons. So I just kind of like soaked it all in, and it's always been that way with music, for me.
I'm sure you get these emails, but what's it mean to you, Frank, when you receive an email from a fan, or prior to your shows or after the shows? They'll come up to you and say, hey, look, your music has pulled me through a tough time. It's gave me inspiration, or it's just made me just relax and escape everyday reality with what we go through. What's that mean to you as a musician and a person?
It means everything. That's part of why you do it. I mean, it's a catharsis that you go through for yourself. Mm-hmm. And when someone listens to it and gets it and can use it for them to go through it and make things better for them, or easier for them, or to help them through situations, it means so much. I mean, it really does, because that's why you do it. You do it for those reasons. You want people to get something from it, and because you're giving it to them, you're giving something to them for them to use, and it's always, you always feel so grateful when someone like that, gets it and really seems to use it to their advantage. So I mean, yeah, it always feels great when someone says that to you.
I just gotta say, as a fan, I respect the hell out of your music, and I respect what you do. Thank you so much, Frank.
Thank you so much for having me. I do this because I love doing it. So it's always a pleasure to do anything that has anything to do with music. So thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome, my friend. How can people stay in touch with you? Buy some merchandise, especially if I know the tour starts off in October. Buy some tickets, merch. How can they do that, Frank?
Well, you can always check on my website. It's frankdimino.com, and it'll always have tour updates or any kind of merchandise, or it just informs you of what I'm doing and what I've done in the past and what I'll be doing in the future. So.
Hey,
that's the easiest way.
Before I let you go, you care to do a promo for the show?
Absolutely. This is Frank DiMino, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great music coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and Uber City Radio. Thanks, Frank.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.